This
So
conference will now be recorded.
whether that would occur during public comments or whether the chair would prefer for that to occur during the actual agenda item.
I would like for that to occur during the actual agenda item,
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
because then the comments, I don't believe that we comment back on whatever comments, and that way we can answer whatever questions they have. All right.
Okay, great, thank you.
Actual item. Okay, if there are no public comments, we'll go on to finance at this time.
And we do not have any agenda items for finance, Judge Cavada, so we can go into administration if you'd like.
Okay, so we're in administration now. Moving right along.
Thank you. We will be swift, promise you that. So the first agenda item for you all, we are asking for Board of Directors approval to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. And the purpose of, I'm sorry, this is the first one. This is the memorandum to enter into an agreement with U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. We are fortunate enough to have been considered for the VISTA program again. And for those who don't know, the VISTAs are secured through the National Volunteer Corporation. And what they are tasked to do is to work within a community, within an organization for a year. And they are volunteering their time. They will be receiving a housing allowance. And then once they complete their mission with the organization, they are also eligible for an education stipend. And I think what is most important is that they are considered internal applicants with any federal agency that they may apply for. And so we were not able to get somebody secured for last year for this initiative, but we are able to, we will be able to go forward with securing a VISTA in Martha. And so that person will be under Peggy O'Brien's purview. And so the scope of work for that individual will be working with our school districts to identify, to assist the Workforce Solutions Boardplex in identifying what are the hot job market items that students might be considering entering into. So that way they have a better understanding of knowing what types of courses they need to be taking and how to get them in the best position possible once they go to college or go to a trade school. And so this agreement here would allow us to go forward with that initiative. Are there any questions for me?
Any questions, board members?
I think it's great, and I'll make the motion if you're calling for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Webb.
Second by Becky Brewster.
Thank you, Mayor Bruce.
Motion by Mayor Webb and a second by Mayor Brewster. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Go ahead. Item number 2.
Okay, so this next agenda item is an MOU, and we are asking to enter into that memorandum of understanding with the El Paso Chamber of Commerce. They have received notification from the Economic Development Administration of an award based on an application that they submitted where they received assistance from our organization. And so the amount is just a little bit over $230,000. One of the final steps that they need to take in order to receive the funding and execute the grant agreement is to have an MOU secured with the Rio Grande Council of Governments. And in the backup documentation, we explain what it is that we would be offering for the chamber, and that is really technical assistance, ensuring that they are submitting their reports on a timely basis. If there's any bumps in the road they may experience with their communication with Department of Commerce, we will be that as additional support to them.
Okay. Do we already have a memorandum of understanding between them, and is this a renewal?
No, this is not a renewal. This would be our first time with them. And this is one of the requirements from the funding agency. And this is new to the Council of Governments. And so this is our first endeavor, so to speak.
I have a question about this. So what does technical assistance mean that will be provided to the chamber?
So what we will be doing includes, and I'll just pull that up on my agenda. So we're going to be assisting them with their the reporting. So there will be some reporting requirements where they need to submit that to the Economic Development Administration. So we'll be able to review that report and give it a sign off, so to speak, before it's sent to the funding agency. And then we're also going to help them with their drawdowns. And so it's on the financial side as well as programmatic. But this is, if you all recall, some time ago, we did ask for the board to consider allowing
on that topic.
Allowing the council of governments to serve as their support for their application. Any nonprofits that for nonprofits that submit to EDA, they need to have a sponsoring agency, so to speak. And so the council of governments served that purpose during their initial application.
Annette, could you please tell me again how much is the amount?
For 230,000.
Okay.
And what they will be doing, and this is program support. It's not construction. The Chamber of Commerce will be using these funds to enhance their business center, where they're able to, as we say, provide some case management for those businesses to ensure that they are getting through this pandemic and not only surviving but thriving as a result of some resiliency components that they were going to be implementing, so that way they're that much more prepared when and if there were to be any situation similar to what we're experiencing now.
Okay, so forgive me for asking this, but by the COG entering into this MOU, it also benefits the COG in what manner?
It doesn't, well, I guess it benefits because it furthers our economic development district and recognizes what it is that we are set to accomplish within that planning grant that we have with EDA. We're not receiving any sort of gain, so to speak, financially, but it just ensures that we are present and we're one of the key players in terms of economic development within the region.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So, and I believe this MOU has been revised by the COG attorney also.
It's been reviewed, yes, ma'am.
Okay. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Padilla, move to approve.
This is Leon.
I think we have Alderman Padilla, and then Commissioner Leon, would you be a second?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. So we have a first and a second, Judge Guevara.
Okay. And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. The next item is the AECOM contract. Go ahead,
Yes,
Annette.
ma'am. And I do want to update the group on this agenda item. I will be asking if we can either rescind or table this agenda item for the next board meeting. I am lucky enough to have Teresa Todd on this call. She obviously wears many hats within her capacity for the region. And so Water Development Board is somewhat of a tricky organization at times in terms of what it is they can allow and not allow. And so we had our contract ready to go, and we wanted to present that to you today. They have seen some items that they would like for some modifications to occur. And so when we first informed that we would be going forward with the board, they had said that would be fine, but they would be reviewing the contracts at a later time. They've been able to see the contract now. And so in order to start with our best foot forward, I would like to table this item and make those corrections so that way we won't have to bring an amendment to you the following month. We want to have it ready to go where all parties are in agreement with the tasks and the deliverables. And so that would be my request to the board.
Okay, and do we need a motion for that to go ahead and postpone this item for another board meeting?
Madam Chair, I'll move to table.
Okay. So
Second.
we have a motion by Teresa Todd, and do we have a second?
Summer.
Mayor Webb seconded.
Okay. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And next item, special district board member.
Yes, ma'am. So this is not requesting any action from the board, but it's informational, and I would definitely love to hear your input. We will be bringing this back at our next board meeting. Ms. Morehouse is currently serving as the director for our board under special purpose government units. She has been in this capacity for several years. She has not attended any of the board meetings this fiscal year. And we've been contacting her, we leave her messages. We had not been able to get in contact with her. But just recently I was able to speak with Mr. McGinnis, who's the general manager for Horizon Municipal Utility District. He did inform me that she resigned. And so I did ask him if there would be any interest from any of his other board members to be considered for this position. As stated in our bylaws, if an individual resigns during that fiscal year, the board of directors has the option to appoint a replacement. And so that's something that you all can do for our next board meeting. But there is another item to inform you all, because I want you to know of where we stand. As of May 10th, which is this week, Horizon Mud has still not paid their dues for this fiscal year. That's in the amount of $1,700. I have reached out to Mr. McGinnis electronically through email, informing him of this information, and I have not received a response yet. So I wanted you all to know in terms of direction. I would love to hear any feedback that you had to offer. Before we do that, I do want to let you know that I will be working on this item as much as I need to in order to bring something back to you for our next board meeting, because as of right now, we have that position vacant.
And Annette, I believe, I just believe that we would be able to proceed forward with appointing someone if they express to you that they intend to pay the fees that have not been paid yet, right? The membership fees?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
An oversight or?
Well, I know that Horizon Municipal Utility District used to be a member of the Far West Texas Water Planning Group. And they did, it's been 2 years now that they have, that they are no longer members. And so I don't know if this is a trend, so to speak, with the Council of Governments. And so it has been difficult for me to get in front of board members. I know that Alderman Padilla informed me that there is another vacancy in their group as well. So they have 2 vacancies right now. So I'm sure we're not high on the list in terms of priorities, but I will do what I need to do to get a confirmation from them. And then if they were to decline and request to no longer be members, what we could do is I definitely would be reaching out to the other water districts that are part of our board of directors general membership to see if anybody would be interested in serving in that capacity.
Okay, but if they should still be interested, would they be the ones also to recommend a replacement for Ms. Morehouse?
I mean, they definitely could do that for us. The position is not for Horizon Mud. It's a representative from a special district. So there could be that chance that, there might be districts who would want to be considered. But if they would like to offer us a name, I think that would be the best route to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. Does anybody have any questions regarding this item?
Seems like some stuff's really going on over there because they were very active with us in regional water planning. For several years. I remember we even took a tour to their facility. And then for, just like Annette said, for the last couple of years, they haven't been active at all. So I don't really know what's going on over there. I hope everything's okay.
Right. It's, yeah, and what you're saying is exactly right, Teresa.
Alderman Padilla, I think, was going to say something as well.
Is,
Yeah.
is the Lower Valley Water District a member of the COG?
Yes, they are.
I can reach out to somebody and see if they want to participate.
Okay, and Alderman Padilla, have you, with you being from that area, have you heard anything else that maybe we should be considering?
I know Bonnie Moore had a spill, and she's been out for a while. But it surprised me when she resigned, and then I heard a few days back that they also had another vacancy on the
And
board.
to your knowledge, is Mr. Jarvis still the chair of the board?
I can check. In fact, I can call Mr. McGinnis after the meeting and see what his intentions are with the COG.
And if they would like for me to present at their board meeting and talk about the COG and just remind them what is it we can offer the membership, I'll make myself available.
Okay, I can stop by. They're only a few blocks away from my home.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Thank you.
Right.
And that's
So-
all I have for this agenda item.
Okay. Okay, so that was just an information item. Thank you, Annette. Next, we have regional services. So Marissa, our next item is Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division, Edward Burney Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Board of Directors. Marisa Quintanilla, Regional Services Director. Requesting board approval on the submittal of the FY22 Regional Priority List for the JAG Fund Source, which is the Justice Assistance Fund Source, and resolution affirming that the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee has reviewed, ranked, and scored the applications, and then authorizing the submittal of the priority listing to be presented and forwarded to the Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division at the Governor's Office. Board of Directors, some of you participate in the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, and as you all know, we had a very, very heavy April in terms of our CJAG meetings and in early part of May. So this is the end result in terms of the prioritization. So the first priority listing is the Edward Byrne, as you can see on your screen. We did have a total of 8 applicants. At the bottom, you do see what our FY22 regional budget estimation is, which is $583,243. The total ask from the 8 applicants was $779,738. And so based on the scoring, the recommended column by the CJAG is basically what would be allocated if approved by the Governor's Office. If approved by the Board of Directors, the Governor's Office will go ahead and move forward with this recommendation. I do have our committee chair, which is Ms. Teresa Todd. I also noticed that we do have a couple of our CJAG members on the line that we can lean on as well. That is also Mrs. Moreno, as well as Mr. Nevada, who are seasoned CJAG members, but I'll lean on Ms. Todd.
Thank you, Marisa. This was a really tough year for CJAC. There was really only one funding source that we ranked and scored where there was sufficient funding. So a lot of very difficult decisions were made. We spent 2 days listening to presentations, ranking on our score sheets, and then another day together the following week going through everything and trying when we could to create more money. So What you have in front of you is what we are recommending for the JAG grants. There were 8 applicants. With the funding available, we were able to fund the top 6. So there would be $5,000, a little over $5,000 left over. That would be offered to Socorro ISD first and Aliviane second, but because of the small amount, I don't believe that even CJD will let us offer that, which would be our normal practice, because I believe there has to be at least $10,000 in order for that to happen. So I believe that has to go back to the state. Is that correct, Marisa?
That is correct.
So I'm here, all of the county judges also serve on CJAC, and as well we have Laura Moreno and Renee Novato here. So we are here to answer any questions that board members may have about this funding source and the other funding sources that will follow.
Any questions, board members? Those were some tough days.
We
I
can have,
don't have the agenda in front of me, but how much short are you on the funding?
so Judge Evans, the total ask from the 8 applicants is $779,738.11, and the regional budget estimate is $583,243. So the committee can fund the first 6 applicants, but the 7th and 8th applicant, who each applied for just over $100,000, there is not enough funding to recommend for those to be awarded as well.
So Judge Evans, we're short $196,494.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the information.
Any other questions, board members? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation to the board.
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Becky Brewster.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Okay, great. Do we have any nays? None? Okay, motion carries. Okay, and the next item?
Board of Directors, our next item is the fund source of the state criminal justice planning, which is known as the 421 fund source. Requesting board approval for the submittal of the regional priority list and resolution from the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, authorizing the submittal of the priority listing as presented to be forwarded to the Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division, Office of the Governor. So behind your agenda item, you do have the priority listing. As you can see if the slide catches up.
I'm so sorry, Marisa, it's coming.
Yep. And so under this fund source, we had a total of 6 applicants. The total ask from the 6 applicants was $591,184. Our regional budget expectations for FY22 is $125,144. So that is a difference of $466,040, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and lean on Ms. Todd to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Marisa. This is a very tough funding source because there are a lot of very worthy applicants, but the state is decreasing funding for this every year. This is not federal flow-through funds. These are state funds that are allocated. So, you know, we had almost a $600,000 ask from all of the applicants and only $125,000 to actually use for this funding source. So if you will look at your regional priority listing, the Center Against Sexual and Family Violence in El Paso, the TIP program, which is a wonderful program that's been funded for many years, ranked #1. Creative Kids, which is a fabulous nonprofit that does Project Able. They were funded at #2, and then those were the only two that could be fully funded with this low amount of regional budget expectation. So out of the 125, that would leave $17,735, which will first be offered to the third ranking grant, the Boys and Girls Club of El Paso Gang Prevention Program. And then if they do not accept that funding because it's not enough seed money for them to start this program, then it would be offered then to #4, to Emergence Health Network, #5, Big Brothers Big Sisters, or #6, Alleviane in order. So that is the process for when we have amounts left over that are greater than $10,000. We can go ahead and offer those to the following applicants in the order in which they are ranked.
Are there any questions for this grant? So, Teresa, I just have a quick question on the 17,000 that remains. And you said if it's not enough, they could turn it down. So I'm not really understanding why they would turn it down. Couldn't they just use the money somehow and then still look for other grants?
I'm imagining that probably #3, looking at the requested amount, is 52,478. 17,735 may be enough seed money for them to start that grant. But you look like, for example, if you look at #4, and I don't want to speak out of turn, Renee, but when you have a $260,000 grant, it may be harder for them to get that off the ground with $17,000.
Okay, so that was a first time grant. Okay.
Yes, actually, yes. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all first time grants.
Okay,
4
now
and 5 have been funded previously, but those were for different projects.
okay, now I see why it wouldn't be, it wouldn't suffice. Okay.
And we've had both happen in the past, correct, Marisa? We've had folks take the funds and we've had folks say that's not enough. And so it gets offered to the next eligible grantee.
That's correct. And as if you recall, committee members, those of you county judges that sit on the CJAC, the ask from the applicant is, can you still implement the program partially if you receive less dollars? And so all these applicants indicated yes, but it just depends on the level of funding available to see if they have other resources to augment that project for the implementation.
Okay. All right, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to proceed with a recommendation.
Make that motion. This is Leon.
Commissioner Leon made the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Leon. Do we have a second?
Alderman Cantu will second that.
Thank you, Alderman Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And any nays? Oh, carries. Thank you. Okay, next item, Criminal Justice Division Truancy Prevention Grant Program.
Board of Directors requesting approval for the submittal of the FY22 regional priority listing for truancy prevention applications and resolution affirming the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee has reviewed, ranked, and scored the applications, thus allowing the submittal of the priority listing to be forwarded to the Governor's Office, Public Safety, Criminal Justice Division. Behind the agenda item, you will see that this is the fund source that Ms. Todd mentioned earlier. This is the only fund source that actually had we received greater budget estimations, and we only had one applicant. Actually, we had two applicants, which was El Paso ISD and Alpine, and El Paso ISD went ahead and withdrew its application. So I'll lean on Ms. Todd to continue the presentation for the truancy program.
Thank you, Marisa. Board of Directors, as Marisa said, this is the only funding source where we have a surplus of funds. And Alpine ISD is funded for their truancy prevention program. I'm sad that we were not also able to fund any other programs, because you hate to leave basically $250,000 on the table. But that's where we are in this funding source. So we have one applicant to recommend for funding at 100%, and we'll have to return those dollars back to the state in $247,805.10.
Okay, it's such a shame that we didn't get more applicants and that
Definitely.
that be returned.
Definitely. And just so the board knows, the CJAC committee requested that next year, when these, or actually later this year, when the process begins again, to go ahead and reach out to every ISD in the region, so they're all aware of this funding source and of this possibility for funding. So hopefully we'll get more grant applications in this funding source next time around.
Right. Great, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to move forward if there are no questions for Ms. Todd. Any questions?
This is Summer.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Webb.
This is Becky. I'll second.
Okay, and a second by Mayor Brewster. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. And then next we have item number 8. Go ahead, Marissa.
Right. So this is the VAWA, which is requesting Board of Directors approval to submit the FY22 regional priority list for the violent crimes against women criminal justice and training programs. Applications and resolution affirming the Criminal Justice Advisory has prioritized these applications and authorizing the submittal of the priority listing to be presented and forwarded to the Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division at the Governor's Office. Behind the agenda item, you'll see that under this fund source, traditionally under this fund source, we have 2 to 3 applicants. For fiscal year 22, we only had 2 applicants. As you can see, the total ask of funding by these 2 applicants was $267,444. Our regional estimation for 22 is $117,664. And so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Todd to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Marisa. Board of Directors, we have this problem every year. These are both fabulous grants. This year, the El Paso District Attorney's Domestic Violence Outreach Initiative ranked first. The Protective Border Court ranked second. As everyone who has been on CJAC or Board of Directors knows, both of these are model programs for other programs, not just in the state of Texas, but all over the United States. So they are both amazing. We don't have enough money to fund both of them, and we never do. What has always happened in the past is the one that has not been funded has been the committee, and then through the board requests that basically the one that is not funded be funded with discretionary funds from the Criminal Justice Division of the Governor's Office. So basically asking the state to fund it through their discretionary CJD funds. This has happened in the past. We are hopeful this will continue, so both of these grants can stay in full force in El Paso. So what we are also hoping, kind of have our fingers crossed, is with Joe Biden as president. As everyone knows, he was a big champion of VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act. So what we're hoping for is a bump in this funding next time around. We'll just keep our fingers crossed and hope that happens. Any questions?
Hopefully that'll happen. Any questions, board members? Okay, thank you. Your explanation was very thorough. So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Yeah, move to approve.
Okay, that was Mr. Padilla. Do we have a second?
This is John, I'll second.
Commissioner Leon seconding, is
Okay.
seconding.
Great. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Nays. Any nays? None? Okay, motion carries. All right, next item, number 9.
So Board of Directors, this is a different, I guess, fund source. It's still under VOCA. These applications, if funded, should be funded under the VOCA. And, but these are set aside applications that the CJAC has to score and prioritize, but they do not, they're not scored in the same manner as the other fund sources. The state provides a different funds scoring instrument, which the CJAC members have to go by. And so as you can see, the scores, it's a 1 through 5, 5 being the highest. So that's why you have a different score there than based out of 100 points. And so these applications are actually for residential and community-based services for victims of commercial sexual exploitation and human trafficking. And so here requesting the submittal of the review of these applications and resolution to be submitted to the governor's office. The committee did have an extensive discussion among themselves and also with the governor's office when they were reviewing this fund source. So Ms. Todd, do you want to continue?
Sure, thank you, Manisa. Board of Directors, like Manisa said, this the state is funding this through their through CJD dollars that come off the top before it goes to the regions. So the process is every couple of years there is basically a new kind of funding that they want to develop. And so this time it's victims of commercial and sexual exploitation, children and adults. So these folks apply directly to the state, and the state looks to the regional COGs to basically see if they're on point with what the state is asking of them and whether or not we have any issues with them to relay to the state. So we sort of have an issue with the way the program is structured. One, because these, as you see, this is an $819,500 line item for these 3 grants. The issue is that after a couple of years of these getting funded off the top by the state, they get thrown into the same VOCA pot of money that all the other grants are in. And they don't really give us more money. They just put more worthy applicants in for the same pot of money. So as you'll see in the next funding source, which is VOCA, we had a $1.2 million shortage. Part of that is that we get less money. Part of that is that we have more applicants. And part of that is that these folks that have been given, you know, their entire budgets by the state are then, you know, thrown in the shark tank with everything in VOCA. So that's sort of the philosophy. Not that these aren't great grants, they are, but they're putting them in a very difficult position by giving them their full budgetary ask and then putting them later in with VOCA. So what CJAC is recommending to the state is that in addition to using the state's score sheet, we be allowed to also use our own score sheet to score these grants. to give the state an idea about where they would fall, where they actually in the funding source that they're going to be in within a year or two. Because what we found is that we are seeking at CJAC oftentimes different, more in-depth things than the state is asking these applicants for. For example, we rely heavily on grants showing that they are following evidence-based practices. We would like to see a programmatic audit. And we also are very into sustainability because we have more and more grants and less money. So the ability for each grant to begin to over time sustain itself is of the greatest importance. So that's the first, under your CJAC comments, that's the first recommendation, is that we, in addition to the state score sheet, use our own. So it shows the state basically, you know, these are how these grants would be scored if they were actually within this funding source. So also the second set of comments, and I'm gonna lean heavily on Renee Novato from Emergence Health Network, who is on CJAC, and also Laura Moreno as well. There was a second set of concerns that related directly to El Paso Center for Children. We addressed these actually with CJD, and so they asked us to go ahead and specify, and so the concerns are listed. Overall, the issue was kind of a feeling that there wasn't enough independent oversight with the grant. So, and separation and compliance audits. So if Ms. Moreno or Mr. Novato would like to jump in here on this, I think they can probably shed more light on this than I.
Good morning, board members. This is Renee Novato with Emergence Health Network. Thank you for having me at your meeting. With respect to the second concern, as outlined by Ms. Todd, the issue at hand here is that the proposal in its current form and design has quite a bit of merit. However, there were some elements to it that from a compliance standpoint, and just for transparency, I live in the world of compliance. And so I noticed that this proposal had some risks that presented some serious concerns. And I know Ms. Moreno will be able to share with you all a more of an in-depth perspective from the local community in terms of how this looks. But one of the things that I retrieved from the proposal was that as the entity requesting the funding, not only do they provide full-time salary to their employees, but on top of that, they're given a stipend to use their own homes to provide foster care for these children. So on the one hand, you have them working full-time, and then on top of that, a stipend. So it was unclear as to whether they work at the center and yet they get a full-time salary, and then they also have the foster home, and then they also get stipend for that. Ms. Moreno was able to clarify that there is based on this model, that one gets compensated full-time for hosting or having a foster care home for these children. So it is our understanding, as explained to the committee, that this is a soon-to-be evidence-based model. It's not there yet, to my understanding, but it's considered a best practice. And so not only was that a concern for me, because I thought that that could potentially lend itself to some possible conflict of interest, and to some extent could be fraudulent. And let me clarify a little bit further. So if you have employees who are, the word that was used quite a bit was double dipping. So if you have them paid to do both work at the center and then still host a foster home and get paid for that. The other thing that concerned me was that the same center itself certifies these foster homes. So it's to say that within the same institution, you're certifying your employee's home as a foster home. So I saw that as a major compliance concern from a liability standpoint, in the sense that not only are you certifying the home, but how are you going to hold yourself accountable, and how are you going to audit yourself if perhaps there isn't an external auditing component on that end. And the last thing was, I did raise these concerns to the CEO in the presentation, and a little disappointed in the fact that she wasn't able to clarify for me those details that I had outlined. The last thing I had asked was in terms of general liability coverage. Not only do you have an employee that you works for a center who's now hosting a foster home, I did ask about general liability coverage. And it is, to my understanding, I think my other colleagues on the committee would verify this, is that she wasn't able to confirm that, well, she was able to confirm, excuse me, that the foster care homes don't have or secure general liability coverage, and neither does the center. So in other words, not only is the organization not providing general liability coverage for an extended portion of their service array, but the home itself and the owner of the home is also not providing a general liability coverage. So those are some of the concerns that we had, and based on the conversation with the governor's office, they asked us to put this in writing. Hence, that's what you have before you. It's not for us to say no funding recommendation, but we're asking them to please consider these areas, these items. That's all I have. Thank you.
Renee, I'm so sorry, real quick. Commissioner Leon, are you having problems hearing, or is everything okay?
No, I lost you for a while, but I'm back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Novato. Teresa, Ms. Todd?
Ms. Moreno, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you again for the invitation. This is Laura Moreno with Homeland Security Investigations Victim Services. When we were having the conversation of this particular applicant, it's good to note that obviously the number, the amount was flagged for many, and it was for the two separate programs. So it was the specialized foster care and also the drop-in center. So Andrea Sparks was kind enough to call in and explain a little bit as to why the Center for Children decided to combine those two services, which are different services, but one obviously for their grant requirements, so it could be a little easier. We did talk at length in regards to the specialized foster care, as Renee explained his concerns. I tried to also facilitate on how we work with trafficked youth. Their specialized foster care is that they are hiring quote unquote employees, people to only be a foster parent to these high-risk trafficked or human trafficked youth, meaning most of the time foster parents are able to work in a different discipline and of course be a foster parent, but these specialized homes is proving to be the best practice for our at-risk trafficked youth. So that is the program. It's not necessarily, as Renee had said, his concern was their employee by day working at the Center for Children and then being a specialized parent, foster home parent. It is a specialized foster parent who has extensive training for high risk, at risk trafficked youth, and they are with that youth, if you will, most of the day. If the youth is at school, they're able to respond to school. If the youth has any other medical and or special services, this foster parent, that is their full-time job. So we also got confirmation from Ms. Sparks from the governor's office to she shared the same in regards to that is why they're using these specialized foster care parents and homes. Any questions in regards to the drop-in center? I don't think we had too many questions regarding that.
I don't have any questions regarding the drop-in center. Does anybody have any other questions? I wanted to thank the committee because they worked really hard on this, took it very seriously, and made phone calls during our meeting and got everything clarified that absolutely needed to be clarified, and so that this good recommendations could be made to the state. I'm sure that they will appreciate them. And Does anybody have any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Padilla, for your explanation also.
I think just to kind of cap it off and put a bow on it, these are really amazing services. What we learned in visiting with Ms. Sparks from the state, this is a model program, the Foster Care and Drop-In Center. It's a model program for the state. And these kids, sure, we all have in our minds the idea of what foster care is, and these kids really require 24-hour care. So it's the full-time job of the foster parents to provide that care. The issues that we had were more programmatic, basically with the way, not with the concept of the program, but with the precise way in which it was being run. And so these are recommendations to try to bring this grant and others like it into a better place with regard to compliance, reducing conflicts of interest, and basically maintaining financial integrity. So that's sort of the takeaway. None of this is to disrespect any of these grants, and especially for the El Paso Center for Children. It's just, these are recommendations from our committee on how we think it can be a much better program.
Thank you, Teresa. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve as recommended.
Commissioner Leon has made a motion. Judge Guevara?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Leon. Do we have a second?
Judge Neely seconds.
Thank you, Judge Neely. So we have a second by Judge Neely. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? None? Okay, motion carries. And then we have one more. Go ahead, Marissa.
Gosh, we saved the last.
Yeah, we did.
Good one for last. Yes, we did. So Board of Directors, this is kind of where it gets a little difficult. Requesting the submittal of the FY22 regional priority listing for the General Victim Assistance Direct Service Grant Programs, also known as VOCA, and resolution affirming that the Criminal Justice Advisory has prioritized the applications, thus authorizing the submittal of the priority list as presented to the Public Safety Office, Criminal Justice Division, Office of the Governor. So under this fund source, we had a total of 17 applicants. The ask of all 17 applicants was $3,780,219. Our regional budget expectation is $2,580,679. So there is a deficit, a shortage of $1,217,540. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to both Ms. Todd and to Mr. Novato and to Ms. Moreno to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Marisa. Y'all all remember my mentor, Jake Brisbane, who is the Presidio County Judge and who was the Executive Director of the COG. He got me involved with Council of Governments, with CJAC. I can't remember if it was 1994 or 1995, but I've been involved with the committee since then. And this is the toughest funding source and the toughest year of funding that I have ever seen since I started all those many years ago. So we had 17 applicants and a $1.2 million shortage. So in trying to create more money to be able to fund more applicants, we tried something new with this funding source, which was basically using a proportionate reduction based on the scores. I'm at this point going to lean on Rene Novato to explain it because he is the mastermind that came up with it. The committee feels very pleased with this way to fund things, and I think if the board of directors is in agreement with us, it's probably something that we will use on other funding sources in the future. So, Mr. Novato?
And
Yes.
Renee, just let me know when you need me to switch the slides back and forth if you want. Do you want me to go back to the previous one?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Again, good morning, board members. Renee Navarro. The design to the scoring was based on the premise of remaining or keeping with the integrity of the scoring process. As Ms. Todd has shared and Marisa has, I'm sure, covered over many years, we have a pretty rigid scoring mechanism. We have a tool, and in that tool, it allows us to be as objective as possible and assign a score to each of these proposals. So in keeping with that methodology, but also looking at how can we maximize the dollars to be able to cover more programs. What was essentially happening is that if you funded each program at 100% of their ask, what you were essentially doing is taking away the opportunity, so to speak, for others to be able to benefit from the funding stream, even at a reduced amount. And so to that end, I think we did 2 iterations of how we can go about this. But then afterwards, we continued to press forward, and it dawned on me that you can actually do what are called weighted percentages. And so essentially how this works is that whoever competed, so those proposals that competed, the one that scored the highest would get 100% of the funding. So if I can point your attention to the score for number 1, Family Crisis Center of Big Bend, they scored 96%. So I just used whole numbers. I didn't round them off. So then what we did there is we funded them at 100% for competing and being able to score at the highest ranking for this category. So essentially what the 96 score does is that equates to 100%, meaning you would then, on the proposals that follow, you would begin to take the raw score and be able to divide it into 96% so that you're not funding everybody at 100%, but you're funding them at the actual score that they received, but up against 96, the score 96. In other words, 96 equals 100%. So these are weighted percentages. So the way it broke up is that the breakdown, can't talk this morning. The breakdown essentially occurred that if the ask for El Paso County is at 173,000, the actual funding allocation was at 93% of the 173. So the way you get to that amount is you basically divide the 93 into 96 because now you have weighted percentages. So you repeat that process for the project number 3, 4, 5. And by doing this, we managed to actually bring on board one additional program for the city of El Paso that had we not done this, we would not have received funding, or they would have received very minimal funding. So that is the logic. I hope I was clear on how we weighted this and how we applied this methodology that would allow us, number 1, to keep to the integrity of the scoring system. And number 2 is to be able to allocate funding to more programs than were originally considered. That's all I have.
Ms. Moreno, do you have anything to add?
I think with Renee having this formula definitely alleviated some of the tasks that we had in an agreement to where the scoring was important for us, and we definitely wanted it to stretch as far as possible. So it seemed definite that the committee was in agreement to this formula that Renee had shared, and it made sense to us then, and still does.
Thank you. So with this proportionate funding, we were able to fund through number 12, the city of El Paso. So the grants that did not rank high enough to be funded were the UTEP College Campus Initiative in the amount of $489,721. Heads up, this one is one of the these college campus initiatives the last couple of funding sources, these are the ones that were funded off of the top. So this is the first time it has actually been in the mix with VOCA and did not score high enough to be funded. So I think it sort of remains to be seen whether, since the state funded that last year, whether they would go ahead and fund that with their discretionary funds this year. The other thing that the committee put into the motion was number 14 and number 16, Presidio County Crime Victim Coordinator and Brewster County Crime Victim Coordinator. Both those grants are in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. The committee requested that CJD go ahead and fund these grants if there are funds available, because these are sole service, this is a sole service provider for these areas. And so, and it's unknown whether the counties will be able to pick this up and fund this fully. So that is what the committee had recommended. Number 15, Crisis Response Ministry, was a new grant. It's a grant it's a program that's active in other parts of the state, but they had not yet formed the relationships and the basis for that program to be successful in our area. I think if they can do that, they could apply next year and probably be in a better position. The other one was the El Paso County Probation Department's Victim Restoration Initiative, which structurally has had issues. Our committee has structurally had issues with that grant for many years. So the Presidio County Attorney is here for number 14, Rod Taunton, and also for the Brewster County grant, which covers Brewster, Presidio, and Jeff Davis counties. Ori White, the 83rd DA, is here to address the board of directors on those two grants.
Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. I want to thank y'all for providing the grant last year. We have tremendous gratitude to the board of directors for giving us the grant last year. And we're faced with serious budget challenges in the Tri-County area. Presidio County is only able to fund us at $35,000. And in fact, my victims assistant coordinator, Andrea Salmon, is on the line with us. But she has already had, I think, hundreds of contacts with victims this year, whereas last year there were virtually no contacts, less than 12 from what I understand. And so she's done a great job turning that around. Our grant is a modest grant. It's, I think, $51,393. And what I'm hoping is that y'all would provide assistance so that we could get some, maybe it could be funded with state discretionary funds. Or perhaps we could find some alternative source. From looking at y'all's spreadsheet, I realized that y'all have had to make some very difficult decisions. But I do want you to know that we're helping victims. Unfortunately, if we don't receive this grant, the position will be eliminated. And so, but we're so grateful. And Ms. Salmon is a young Hispanic woman who grew up in West Texas, and she's done a great job for us. I'm so proud of her. And so what we're trying to do is make a difference and direct them towards the resources that they need. And a lot of our victims are victims of violent crimes. And so any assistance y'all can provide, we would appreciate it. But we are totally grateful, and we're doing a great job communicating with victims because a lot of them had never been communicated with. And at any rate, Andrea, do you have anything to add?
I just want to say thank y'all as well for y'all's time. And yes, as Ori has mentioned, I've had many of my victims that I've called tell me that they thought their case had fallen through or they felt forgotten. So yeah, I mean, it's made a difference to hear that from them because we have done our best to keep in contact with everybody as much as we can. I tell them I'm available even after hours. Email me if you have questions. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find out as soon as I can. And yeah, I've had, I think, 73 contacts. And of that, more than half of them were new because they had never even been contacted from the beginning. So yeah, we're pretty busy on this side. So anything from you guys would be very grateful for.
Do y'all have any questions? Well, I certainly thank you for allowing us to appear, and again, we would appreciate, we wish the grant would be approved if at all possible, or direct us to some alternative funding if you can. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate the job y'all do.
Thank you.
Marisa, this is Rod.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
And I want to follow up on what Mr. White was saying. And I also want to express my appreciation to the COG and the committee for y'all's support. The Presidio County Crime Victims Coordinator has been doing a great job. She has a difficult job because her primary responsibility is dealing with issues in Presidio, Texas. And as y'all know, Presidio is basically joined at the hip with Oinaga, so it has a pretty strong Mexican culture that the women are afraid to report that they're victims of domestic abuse, and that's the primary thing that we're reaching out to address. So I recognize the funding issues, and I respect y'all's scoring because I know it's very strict, but y'all have funded us in the past, so I do request that y'all ask the governor's office to see if there's a way that they could directly fund this, because I know there's not enough money in the grant that y'all have pending before you. But I do appreciate your support very much. My crime victim coordinator is very experienced. She's got about 5 or 6 years worth of experience, and she's Hispanic, and her primary language is Spanish, and she's done a very good job of both dealing with the victims and also reaching out to the community and advising them of their rights.
For the board, if I can just say, and I think this is definitely a stretch, but because it's just still so new, I'm wondering if there's any consideration of creativity, but still keeps us all on the straight and narrow, where perhaps some of the funding from the American Rescue Plan might be applied here in some way. And that would be obviously specifically to the counties of Presidio and Brewster and the other counties that are within the 83rd district. But we're going to talk about this under the president's report, but maybe perhaps there might be some funding also under Department of Justice, or maybe some other programs on the federal level that they received additional funding for. But I just wanted to make a commitment that we, the Council of Governments, would be looking for funding sources for these programs if there's any way that we can match them up.
I really appreciate that, and I'm sure Mr. White does also.
Thank you so much. We do.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
Judge Evans,
Oh,
hear me.
Judge Evans is going to speak. Judge Guevara. Oh, Judge Guevara, we can't hear you. I can't hear anyone actually.
I can't hear her.
You. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. Judge Guevara, so Judge Evans is going to speak. Go ahead, Judge.
Okay. I can't find the item on the agenda, and how much short are we, or what is the total amount of that grant?
Yes. So for Presidio County, the the amount that's requested is $56,662. And for Brewster County, it's $51,393 with 38 cents.
Okay.
And so they are, in terms of where they ranked, Commissioner Evans, there were 17 applications. Presidio County ranked 14th and Brewster County ranked 16th. So there were a few other applicants in between them.
Is there maybe a possibility of looking at the ARP funds since since the funding has gone down? Can these ARP funds would they be able to use it in place in order to their amounts?
That's what we discussed. I think it's still so new in terms of what's allowable. We would definitely have to wait and do a deep dive in the guidance to make sure that that would be something that would be possibly considered, but it's still somewhat new right now.
Okay. Pardon me for making you repeat that.
No, that's okay. That is okay.
All right.
Annette, would that be something that we would reach out to TDM regarding whether that would be eligible for funding? What would be the proper process for the counties to explore that option?
So I know that there's still a determination on how the funds are going to go to the state of Texas and which agency is going to administer those for the non-entitlement communities. So we just need to figure out which agency is going to be in charge. And that way we can start that process. And like I said, I mean, I hope I'm not sending us on the wrong path, but I think that's something definitely that we should be looking into as much as we can.
I think so too. I think that's a great idea. Can we agree with the counties, the 3 rural counties, to work together with the COG on that to see if this is another possible funding source to fully fund these VAC positions? We can't hear you, Judge.
I'll certainly work with you, Teresa, and Ori will too, to do anything we can.
Absolutely.
Of course, I will.
Okay, and Judge Evans, I think you will as well. And we'll get with Judge Kano.
I'm sure he will too.
Okay, Annette, thank you for that suggestion. That's a great idea.
And Marisa might have more information as the weeks come along with the PSO in case there's anything that's directly coming to them. Is that correct, Marisa?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Ori and Rod, for coming and visiting with the board of directors and letting everybody know about the important work that your programs are doing for victims.
Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate all of y'all's hard work.
Thank you, Teresa. We do appreciate you and Annette, Marisa, and everybody that's working hard on this.
Okay. Hopefully we can move forward in a good direction on this.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
Thank y'all so much.
I believe we will. Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the priority list as presented.
Yeah, move to approve.
A motion by Padilla. Do we have a second?
Second, Judge Evans.
Judge Evans seconds.
Is that Judge Neely?
Judge Evans?
Oh, that was Judge Evans? Okay. So a second by Judge Evans. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Carries. And thank you all. Thank you all for.
Right. Okay, Judge Guevara, so we do not have any agenda items for Area Agency on Aging. We do have the Executive Director's report here for you all to see. Just wanted to just take this moment really quickly to thank County Attorney Teresa Todd, the chair for CJAC, as well as Marisa and all the CJAC members. It was a harrowing experience, at least the first day for sure. So I guess maybe just to spread the wealth, I got some of that technology voodoo my way today because things did not quite work out today as I had hoped initially. And so CJAC did have that experience when they had their first day of presentations. And so it was a lot of work, a lot of time and effort, and just want to say to all of you for your time and commitment on this effort. On the director's report, you can see here what it is that occurred these within the month of April and what we have so far for May. If there's any questions for me, I can answer those right now. If not, that'll conclude my report.
Thank you, Annette. If there's no questions, then I'll go ahead and give my president's report. And for this, I would at this time like to lean on Marisa to explain the training that we just had here in Marfa that included Culberson County, Hudspeth County, Brewster County, Presidio County, and Jeff Davis County. No, not Jeff Davis County, excuse me. But to move into next generation dispatching for our dispatchers, which is talk, text, and video and Google Map all in one. It's iCloud based, and we had a presentation. Marisa, will you go ahead and elaborate on that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Judge. On Tuesday, we went ahead and received a demo from Carbine. And if I can just take you back about a year ago or so, maybe we did have a presentation from CSEC, from the Commission on State Emergency Communications, Mr. Kevin Broder, who came down and we talked about our transition to the next generation 911 platform, which meant that we were getting ready, and this is in regards to our PSAPs, our public safety answering points, our 911. We're going to get rid of the legacy equipment, the legacy circuits, and go into analog circuits or equipment. And so we've been working very hard to go ahead and transition over from analog to digital. And so one of the two main goals of the next generation 911 platform is, one, to have our dispatch centers receive an internet-based call, an I3 call. And then the second goal of that is to be able to receive multimedia along with that call. And so we are exploring a vendor, Carbine, who's able to deliver those two goals. Get that I3 call into the dispatch centers along with that multimedia platform. So especially now, since we're receiving, have an increase of influx of migrants, this video capability will allow first responders to really be able to locate those individuals who are requesting for emergency assistance. So it also has the built-in capability for automatic chat, text to 911 and translation on that text to 911. And so we're really excited on looking into working with this vendor in the future, hopefully, as we get ready to move forward. I'll bring this information back to you all perhaps in July, and that I think we're still working on that. To go ahead and give you all a little bit more information on how that platform works and if our rural infrastructure can handle, if they have the capacity to be able to support this initiative.
Thank you, Marisa. Very exciting and definitely moving up to more into the 21st century. Thank you for that. And Annette, would you elaborate on the American Rescue Plan, please? Funds?
Yes, ma'am. So by now, everyone should be aware that there's going to be funding made available to cities and counties through the American Rescue Plan Act. And just as Teresa, Ms. Todd referenced, there will be a state agency that will be in charge of this initiative for those communities that are under 50,000. And within our region, that would be everyone with the exception of the city of El Paso and the county of El Paso. So what we would like to offer to you all is, once we're gathering information, we're trying to be as comprehensive as we can. And once that becomes available, we'll put together a webinar for all of the non-entitlements communities for you all to get some ideas on how you can use the funding, what would be perhaps considered appropriate or ineligible. And I think that we definitely will be able to look at the experience of both city and county of El Paso through their CARES funding. They were able to implement quite a few programs, economic, community development, as well as others. And so that is something that we definitely would like to make available to you for your consideration. And I think also this will definitely be an opportunity for you to show what council of governments are all about, regionalism. So if any of you all are wanting to collaborate and put your money together, those are something that you all could definitely look at doing. And one thing that's really, really important is that they definitely have the broadband as an initiative. So that's been high on everyone's list. And so definitely want to see how it is we can maximize on that funding. So we'll be making that available for you as soon as the information comes in, where we're comfortable rolling it out and we can have discussions on that.
Annette, we're supposed to receive that funding, or counties are, right now. Mid-May is what we were told. When do you think that you'll have that information?
Well, I know that Peggy O'Brien, Robert Halpern, as well as Charles Simeon, they've been sitting in on webinars. One that was from the National League of Cities. And so we'll get that information. We'll see what we best can find out. I know that the county has been talking about this, and so they may have a better, El Paso County, they may have a better handle of this. And so we'll reach out to them as well to see if there's any additional guidance that we can provide right now.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on the American Relief Fund plan? No. Okay. Well, that'll take us to, thank you, Annette. Thank you very much. That'll take us to the next item, announcements. Do we have any announcements? I was going to ask, we are going to have a meeting in June, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And we currently have it set for June the 18th. We will do a poll to see which one of the Fridays work best for everyone to ensure that we have a quorum. And so we'll be getting that doodle poll out to you all. So if you can fill that out for us, we'd appreciate it. And we'll also reach out to our proxies too, to see if anyone is interested in serving in that capacity. So we do have it set for June the 18th, but that is subject to change depending on everyone's availability.
Okay. Are there any other announcements?
I just wanted to thank my constituents for re-elected me for another 4 years.
Congratulations.
That's great. Congratulations.
This is Mr. Alderman Cantu. I'm also was elected without any election because there was nobody running against us. So I'll be serving for another 2 years.
Congratulations also. Yeah, that just speaks to the job that you all are doing. A great job. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Any other announcements? Yeah.
Judge, just real quick, it's Marissa. I think we can share the link. I believe I think they published the article from Tuesday's Carbine's demo. I'm just learning of that. The Sentinel published an article. I think it was. I don't know if you've seen it.
I did get the newspaper, but I haven't read it yet. So yeah, you're going to share that link?
I'll send it to Annette. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Pretty exciting stuff. They have offices in Israel, in Ukraine, in New York, and what was the other place? Oh, Mexico. And so this is just now coming to the US. It's pretty exciting. Okay, if there's no other announcements, I think we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
The only, Judge, the only item Yvette just pointed out to me is that I apologize, June 18th is Juneteenth, and so that is a holiday for many of our entities. And so we definitely probably will be looking at another date for our board meeting rather than the 18th.
Oh, okay, June 18th. Okay. I have to take that off. All right. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, thank you. You bet. Okay. We'll wait for you to send out that.
The poll, yes.
Yes, the poll. Mhm. Okay, if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. It's almost 1 o'clock here and almost 12 o'clock where you're at.
Move to approve by the
Judge Neely moves we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now adjourned then.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And if staff, if you can stay on the line, I just want to do some tests because we're having problems with audio. So I just want to see what's not working. But everyone else, you're more than welcome to log off. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.